ever heard of. Closing the goddamn door, no. It's much better to face these kinds of things with a sense of voice and rationality. I'm trying, haven't you people ever heard of? Closing the goddamn door, no. Much better to face these kinds of things.
Ladies and gentlemen, we return! It was another exciting week of college football, and there was a lot of upsets this week. First things first, actually, I'm going to go right into it. The upset of the week. San Jose State went into Arkansas, and what do they call sweet? What do they say before their game?
Pig suey! Ooh, pig suey!
That's what it is. I knew it was somewhere. You know what? Those pigs, those Arkansas Razorbacks, they didn't do so hot. They lost to San Jose State, the same team that only won 2 games last season, who lost to UC Davis last season. They lost to them.
It's an FCS team!
But San Jose State this year, they're proving that they're indeed not an FCS team. They're a Mountain West team. And they went into Arkansas, and they beat them 31-24.
Don't get me wrong here. San Jose State is a very, very, very piss-poor team. But Arkansas is just that much worse.
They're just that bad. I mean, Josh Love threw for 402 yards and 2 touchdowns on an SEC team. I mean, this is San Jose State. I mean, what was the last bowl they were in? The Cure Bowl versus Georgia State?
I don't know. It might have been the MPC Computers Bowl in Boise, Idaho.
I know they played Georgia State and lost, I think. I think they were 6-7 that season in 2015. Or is that? Yeah, that's what it was.
15, it's crazy. 16. I mean, I didn't even think about that.
It's now time to transition into the ACC. And the first game to cover, Pitt defeated the number 15 UCF Knights. And
just like you predicted.
UCF, I literally put the helmet up here. I called it. And they won 25 straight.
It's your first one. It's your first time calling that one correctly.
That was UCF. UCF won 25 straight regular season games, and they finally lost. And Pickett, he threw 25 for 47, 224 yards, and a touchdown. And the player of the game, I think the man who gets the game ball, is Aaron Matthews. He had the block punt and the touchdown pass. Those both led to touchdowns, and they were both crucial. Kessman didn't play so hot.
He played horrible.
UCF turned on the burners in the second half. They played a good second half. Questionable play calling by Hupel, right?
Whipple.
Oh no, for UCF.
Whipple
yeah. Called a good game. Hupel, he former Oklahoma quarterback, he went for it on 4th down and then ended up to bite him in the ass and ended up losing 35-34. But Pitt, they brought their A game. UCF was expecting an easy win, 12-point favorites. I guess I was right on this one. A letdown week for UCF. Way to come back for a win for Pitt.
Oh yeah, play the Panther song.
Mason Chilliwack too, he took the L.
Ooh.
Just like you did in dodgeball when I got you out.
Oh.
He's probably not even watching this.
Whatever.
He probably doesn't even remember me getting him out in dodgeball. But anyways, I did, and everyone knows it. Clemson, they remain undefeated. There's really not much to say there. Florida State defeated Louisville 35-24. Cam Akers, good game. I'd say top 3 running back in the whole entire NCAA. 112 yards, 3 touchdowns. That horny bastard, Hornibrook, he was 15 of 20, 255 yards with 2 touchdown passes. Florida State's season's actually looking like they could go 6-6. So, yeah. Maybe 6-6, 5-7, 7. I'll go maximum 7 wins, minimum 5 wins. Average.
So now we're going to transition to the Big Ten. In probably one of the more looked after games of the day, we had the number 13 Wisconsin Badgers taking on the number 11th ranked Michigan Wolverines. And the funny thing about this game is that this is one of the more hyped up matchups of last week.
It's supposed to be close.
And it was supposed to be close, and it was anything but close. We had Jonathan Taylor on the ground, 23 carries, 203 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Jack Cohn, he didn't even throw a touchdown. He threw for 128 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. And I'm not even going to note anything on the Michigan side because they were just that bad. Wisconsin ran away with that one 35-14 over Michigan. So now we move on to the Nebraska and Illinois game, and I don't get Nebraska. Are they good or are they not?
It was Illinois.
It was Illinois. But, I mean, you think about this. Adrian Martinez, 327 yards is no joke. I mean,
He's a good quarterback,
22 of 34. He has no relation to Taylor Martinez, by the way. I looked that up.
For real?
Yep, no relation. And
how about punishment?
I don't know about that. But 3 touchdowns, and through the air it was J.D. Spielman, 7 receptions for 159 yards, but 0 touchdowns. But Nebraska ended up running away with this one, 42-38. So now,
Congrats, Nebraska.
honestly,
And I didn't write anything down for this, but fuck Temple. That's all I gotta say, is fuck Temple.
really fucked me out of
They
that one.
lost to Buffalo by 16 points.
Holy shit.
Ronnie, man, they need to put you in more, I guess. I don't know. Ronnie Stevenson, I guess they need to put him in another one-tour guy.
Ooh, honestly, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's
I thought
crazy.
he was a basketball guy.
And I mean, you guys beat Maryland, but
No, he's a project.
Oh.
college football is made for letdown weeks. I'll get to Arizona State later because they love having letdown weeks. They had a letdown week. There was a ton of letdown weeks this whole entire
Jalen
yeah.
Daniels.
Washington State had a big letdown week. We'll get to that later. Time to move on to the SEC. Kellen Mond had a good game in the Texas A&M at Auburn game. Or no, Auburn at Texas A&M. Correction. He was 31 of 49, 335 yards in the air. 2 touchdown passes. Was not enough. Auburn won 28-20. Bo Nix, of course. They had 3 players. I mean, they really didn't have any extravagant, lines. 3 players rushed for over 50 yards, but no one had over 70. Receiving wasn't anything special. It was just a balanced offense. Nix was only 12 of 20, I think, with 100 yards. Nothing special. They kind of just beat him on the ground. Their defense really showed that why they're one of the top run defenses in the country. They have some veteran quarters. Excuse my stuttering. Time to move on to Georgia at Notre Dame. Georgia won 23-17, but Notre Dame proved that they can actually compete with any team. They actually played really good. They were leading after the half. Swift had 98 yards, 1 touchdown for Georgia. Book had a good game, 29 of 47 for Notre Dame. He had 2 touchdowns, but the 2 interceptions proved to be costly as they lost 23-17 to the Georgia Bulldogs.
On to the Big 12. I mean, it wasn't too big of a week for the Big 12. Pardon the voice crack there. I'm a growing boy.
We're both 13 years old.
So Texas went onto the road against Oklahoma State in a hostile environment and proved that they were once again the superior team. Sam Ehlinger through the air, 20 of 28, 281 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, he's still a very solid quarterback. But on the Oklahoma State side, it was Chuba Hubbard. I mean, he's another Heisman hopeful. 121 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, but it wouldn't prove to be enough as number 12 ranked Texas would defeat Oklahoma State 36-30.
Mind you, that was the first time they won at home versus Oklahoma State since 2008.
That's
Fun
crazy.
fact.
That's crazy. I mean, that's honestly a crazy statistic you got to see here. What's even crazier is that West Virginia went into Lawrence, Kansas, and only escaped by 5 points in a game, or on paper, they shouldn't have won. Austin Kendall, 12 out of 37, 202 yards, didn't throw any touchdowns, though. It was the ground game that really got them going. 2 weeks in a row, the ground game is what has saved them out here. It was Kennedy McCoy and Martell Pettaway. They had 113 yards combined and 3 touchdowns combined. But Kansas's Carter Stanley had 275 yards. He was 19 of 25, 3 touchdowns. But through the air, also, Andrew Parchment, had 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. But it would prove ineffective as West Virginia down the stretch pulled away 29-24. And West Virginia and Texas will meet in 2 weeks.
We'll move on to the Pac-12. Washington State. Let me get to you. Should we do Utah first?
You can do whatever you want.
First things first. I didn't write any stats on it, but
Please.
Utah lost to USC at USC, and what can I say? I had aspirations that you guys can actually go 11-1, which now I'm starting to think that if you have to run into Oregon, you'll lose to them too.
Herbert the pervert.
So much for that. Yeah, they lost to USC 30-23. Just upsetting. So much for that. So much for these crazy predictions that I actually thought that those Shamans can win 11 or 12 games. That's foolish of me. What's even more foolish is that Anthony Gordon threw 41 of 61 in his passes. He had 570 yards and 9 touchdowns, but they lost to UCLA.
Wait, what did they do?
Lost. How do you lose?
They lost!
7 touchdowns in the first half, and they lost. They lost 67-63. I think they had 6 or 7 turnovers throughout the game, and they lost to UCLA. Dorian Thompson-Robinson had 507 yards passing for 5 touchdowns. He was 25 of 38. And they had 2 receivers with over 140 yards. Chase Cota had 147 yards and a touchdown. And Demetric Felton had 150 yards with 2 touchdowns. And I'm not talking about Demetric system. I'm talking about Demetric Felton.
Well, is any relation to Raymond?
Huh?
Any relation to Raymond?
I do not think so.
What a horribly played game that was.
Mhm.
Does anyone know how to play defense in this day and age in college football?
I mean, and then you're so right. The Big 12 is just a big air raid.
It's a big joke, is what it is.
It's an air raid. There's fast receivers. They can't guard them.
Honestly, you're talking about Tylan Wallace, Jalen Rieger.
Lil John Humphrey. He's in the NFL now.
Nah, fuck it.
Time to move on to Colorado and Arizona State. Big Arizona State win. They went into Michigan State and they beat them on their home turf 10-7. You know what happened this week?
What?
They lost to Colorado. Montez, 23 of 30, 337 yards with 3 touchdowns. How do you give up 7 points in every game you've played this season? Only 7 points. You get one into Michigan State and you shut down the work. You shut down Lombardi. You shut down Felton Davis. You shut them all down. You won 10-7 on their home turf. And then you give up 34 points to Colorado. Talk about a letdown week. Talk about a letdown week for the whole entire Pac-12, damn it. 3 ranked teams went down. They're beating each other up. That whole entire conference. It might be not that bad. It might be a good conference. But at the end of the day, it doesn't look great. Because they're all going to be 7-5 and 8-4. I mean, the best team's going to... I mean, it's going to... There's so much parity in that conference. They're all even. On any given day, even Oregon State can probably compete with like a Colorado or an Arizona State, which is crazy to think about. You know, so yeah, that's all I got for the Pac-12.
Let me set the scene here in the American Athletic Conference. We were treated to 2 unbelievable games. I'm going to set the scene here. It's the Deep South. The Bayou, Tulane, matched up against Houston at Tulane University. And we were treated to one of the most entertaining games of all time. Possibly. So, started off like this. In the first half, Houston at one point, was defeating Tulane 28-7. At this point, I had given up all hope. I had thought because in the poll, I had picked Tulane to win.
Same here.
And I was thinking, oh God, that was so stupid. But I was wrong. And let me explain why. Let me just go back here. De'Aaron King, the same quarterback who just announced his departure.
It's retirement. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's retirement.
It was his 15th straight game with a rushing touchdown and a throwing touchdown and a throwing touchdown. That's an NCAA FBS record, folks, for those of you who don't know your stats. But we're going to get past that. Justin McMillan, the quarterback for Tulane, he was 7-20. He had 186 yards, but he had 3 touchdowns. That's unbelievable.
Usually, if you only complete 7 passes, I mean, that's...
That means that he
almost half of his passes.
That means that he almost averaged, I gotta say, I can't do the math, it's roughly like 20 yards a pass if he threw it. But Jalen McCluskey through the air, he proved to be a difference maker. And hold on a second. Jalen McCluskey had 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the key moment was with under 1 minute left, Tulane, one of the ballsiest calls of all time, a fake kneel. They ran the ball to the outside, got the ball out of bounds, and then with 3 seconds left, Jalen McCluskey catches the ball, splits 2 defenders, and runs to the house. Tulane wins the football game.
Hopefully the Scotch is better than Houston.
Honestly, the final score was 31-28. So
another close loss for them. He lost by a touchdown to Washington State too.
Houston. If you're Dana Holgerson, this has got to be one of those gut-wrenching losses. Because not only did you lose the game, you lost your quarterback, you lost your star wide receiver. Is Morgantown that bad?
I bet you he's singing Country Roads right now.
He's probably thinking about it. But we move. Not only that, we're gonna move on.
Skillet.
We're gonna move on to the battle for the Iron Skillet, the SMU Mustangs, and the number 25 ranked TCU Horned Frogs.
The Iron Skillet.
It was Skillet down the stretch. It was Shane Buechele, the Texas transfer. I'm just gonna keep saying he's the Texas transfer. He was 23 of 34 with 288 yards and 2 touchdowns. On the TCU side, it was Max Dugan, 16 of 36, 180. Brother of Brian Patrick. 16 of 36, 188 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then Darius Anderson had 161 yards and 2 touchdowns. But SMU has proved to be dominant down the stretch in these football games. They win 41-38 and they move to 4-0, moving into conference play. I mean, could they win the AAC? They're not even ranked this week, I don't think. I mean, it's possible. So,
time for the pick'ems, baby.
Here we go.
Duke at Virginia Tech's our first game. I'm going to go with, it's a -3 spread for Virginia Tech at home. I'm going to go with Virginia Tech at home. Not only that, I believe haven't written down, but Duke hasn't beaten them since, I think, 2015. So I'm definitely going with Virginia Tech.
Wait, hold on for a sec. Where's the guy with the Spider-Man mask?
He has a bye week this week.
He has the bye week this week.
I think he's a Tulsa student.
He has to be.
That's why I picked him over.
Flew him back out to Tulsa.
He was right about the Wyoming game, though.
And I was wrong.
I was right. I agreed with the crazy dude.
Couldn't agree with him this week, so maybe I got to go with him next week. But, anyways, I'm going to go with Virginia Tech here as well. I believe that they're coming off a couple bad stretch of games. I think that they're due for another big win here. So -3 spread. It's pretty much a pick 'em. So we're gonna go with Virginia Tech here.
They could let you down there. They did cost me my picks.
Always let me down.
Boston College. Wake Forest at Boston College. Speaking of Boston College got their score doubled by Kansas, 48-24. They struggled against Rutgers, but they pulled away at the end. I'm going to go with Wake Forest on this one. Wake Forest they lost to them last year, but I believe that Wake Forest has a real good team this year. Newman's been one of the better passers in NCAA football. Surratt, he's been good. Boston College just kind of looks shitty, so I'm going to go with Wake Forest.
I agree. You got killed by Kansas. Wake Forest. Straight up.
North Carolina State at Florida State. I'm going to go with Florida State at home. That's all I got to say, just Florida State at home. Although you never know, because NC State does look good every once in a while. It depends. They're like one of those teams where you flip a coin. If it lands on heads, they're probably going to do good. Tails, they're streaky, man. They're streaky. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. They are extremely streaky. I mean, when they came into Morgantown, I really thought that they were going to play well, but especially since the way they played the week prior, and they really put up a dud. And I got to go with Florida State here because they got Hornibrook, they got that Horny Bastard quarterback. So I think that Florida State's going to get this one done against a streaky and patchy NC State team. So, moving on to the next one, we have Cincinnati and Marshall. I'm not real big on the Marshall Thundering Herd, but Cincinnati is a pretty solid team. Although they've had a couple down weeks here.
They were supposed to be better.
At Marshall, I got to go with Cincinnati here. Cincinnati's just the better team.
This is where we differ. Whoa. I'm going with Marshall at home.
I'm drowning.
They almost pulled the trigger and won against. They almost beat Boise State on their home field at Albertson, and they beat Ohio, which is a pretty good MAC team. I'm gonna go with Marshall at home. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Marshall at home. That's what I'm gonna do. ECU at Old Dominion. ECU stinks. Old Dominion stinks.
It's pretty much a pick 'em.
It's whoever stinks worse. I think ECU is going to stink worse. I'm going to go with Old Dominion at home. They have played Virginia pretty tough, so I'm going to go with Old Dominion.
Old Dominion usually plays those Virginia teams pretty tough, so I'm going to go with Old Dominion here.
Mm-hmm. Good pick.
So now we're moving on to some of the Big 12 matchups. We have Iowa State facing off against Baylor, and Baylor is a 3-point underdog here. So this is a tough one because I like Iowa State, but Baylor, I mean, last week just barely escaped. Who'd they play?
Who, Baylor?
Yeah.
I'm
trying to remember who they
Rice.
played. They just barely escaped Rice. So yeah, Iowa State here. Iowa State's going to beat Baylor.
Sorry, I'm just looking at my
That's
notes.
okay.
I'm going to go with Iowa State because they have Baylor's number. And Iowa State scored 72 points last week. Baylor hasn't played anyone yet, really. So I'm going to go with Iowa State.
So next we've got Kansas State, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State opening up as a 4.5-point underdog. So in my poll, I picked Kansas State. Although at home at Boone Pickens Stadium, I don't really know.
This one's a tough one.
I don't really know who I should pick here. I think I'm gonna stick with Kansas State on this one, just for right now at least, because Kansas State has been looking solid these past couple weeks. I mean, they're no stranger to going into hostile environments and winning. I mean, they went into Starkville, Mississippi, the polluted cesspool, and
as a 7-point underdog.
As a 7-point underdog and defeated them. So, and they covered the spread as well. So I'm going to go with Kansas State here.
For my pick'em pool, this one's going to be a game time decision for me as well. But may I remind you, Kansas State, last time they went into Boone Pickens, they won 45-40 in 2017. Thus, I'm going to pick Kansas State as a ranked team coming in on fire. However, Oklahoma State, I'm not going to be shocked if they come ready to play knowing that they almost beat Texas last week. So I'm going to go with Kansas State for now, but that's going to vary before game time. Penn State at Maryland. I'm going to go with Penn State on the road here. Maryland looked pretty bad against Temple. I believe they had a bye.
Maryland had a bye this last week.
But I think Penn State had a bye as well. Penn State's they got rested up after that physical game against Pitt, that rivalry game. I'm going to go with Penn State on this one. I believe that they're a more athletic team than Maryland. And Maryland has some athletic assets, but we're going to go with Penn State on this one.
Yeah, Penn State took a brutal fisting, just like those kids did. So I'm just going to go with Penn State here because, they're rested up. Maryland, they lost very, very, very soundly to Temple. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Penn State here.
That's the battle of the corrupt programs. Anyways, we're going to go on to Minnesota at Purdue. This is kind of they play each other every year.
It's a pick'em.
It's literally a pick'em. It's literally PK. That means even. That means,
anything can
no
happen.
Spread. Anything can happen in it. So I'm going to go with Minnesota because I don't trust Purdue. I've picked against Purdue when they played TCU as well. They played Vanderbilt tough, but that's like the only good win they have right now. And Vanderbilt, I really don't think is that good. So I'm going to go with Minnesota on the road as an undefeated team. I really think that they have a hungry team this year. They got a pretty good, solid quarterback. I'm going to go with Minnesota.
I agree. I think Purdue is very, very, very overrated. They're not even overrated. They're just bad. Look at them. Who did they lose to? They got killed by TCU, who just lost to SMU. Now, granted, SMU is a very solid team. This is pick'em as well, so I'll go with Minnesota.
Florida Atlantic at Charlotte. I'm going to go with Florida Atlantic on the road. They were the only team that scored over a touchdown, I believe, on Ohio State. They actually scored 21 points on Ohio State, and they played good last week. I'm going to go Florida Atlantic at Charlotte. Charlotte did score 41 points against App State. They do have an improved team this year, but I'm still going with Florida Atlantic on the road.
I gotta agree with you on this one. Charlotte just came into Clemson and just got thumped. For Charlotte, that's gotta be a momentum killer. That's also just gotta be a degrading sort of loss to them because no discredit to Clemson, but Charlotte got killed. So
they had the schedule somewhere.
They had to.
I'm talking about Clemson.
And they paid them.
Charlotte didn't have
Charlotte got their payday.
Charlotte's the winners at the end of the day. Because they went into Death Valley.
They got their payday. So Florida Atlantic here.
UAB at Western Kentucky. I'm going to go with the Hilltoppers to pull off an upset against UAB. The Hilltoppers had a very rough game against Central Arkansas earlier this season. They lost by 7 points to Central Arkansas on their home turf. But they played Louisville tough. They got a good win over Florida International. I'm going to go with the Hilltoppers at home on this one.
So Oddshark has been telling me to pick UAB over Western Kentucky. So in my poll, I picked UAB over Western Kentucky, and I think I'm just going to stay true to that. For right now, at least, I haven't done too much delving into the game.
UAB could win that, though. They're favored. That's one of my upsets right now.
You got to have an upset pick if you're going to do this. So, I'm going to stick with UAB for right now. So, UAB over Western Kentucky.
I have a couple upset picks this week. Buffalo at Miami. You could pick that one.
Oh, so Buffalo is extremely patchy. I mean, I'll go with Buffalo on this one because Miami really fucked me last week. They decided to really fuck me last week. Buffalo, I mean, Buffalo's the same team that killed Temple, and Temple beat Maryland. So let's just go with Buffalo on this one. And you go to that one. You pick up the next one.
Oh, I haven't picked the Miami game. I'm gonna pick Miami at home. Letdown week for Buffalo. BYU at Toledo.
Oh, this game is close.
BYU has had a really, really tough schedule. Toledo just kicked the ass of Colorado State, which I'm pretty sure Montour would kick the ass of Colorado State as well. Okay. I'm gonna go with BYU on the road. That Matt Hawaiian's gonna coach his team up, and they're gonna win another game. This Mormons. I mean, if they were able to beat USC and Tennessee on the road, and they beat USC at home, of course, I believe that they're gonna go into Toledo in Ohio, and they're gonna beat them.
I agree.
I think they'll cover the spread too.
I agree. I think that BYU is going to come down from that elevation they have in Provo. They're going to be drowning in oxygen. So I think that BYU, just for those Mormons, are going to get it done. Zach Wilson, solid. I mean, well, they had a pretty letdown week at Washington. So we'll see. BYU, though, right now.
Hawaii at Nevada. Now, Hawaii has...
They got McDonald.
Cole McDonald. He had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. But Hawaii, they're playing at Nevada. Last season, Nevada went into Hawaii, and they stunned them on their home turf. Now, Mountain West teams do not have a good resume at Hawaii. Hawaii usually plays really good at home. So therefore, Nevada has a lot of their players back this year. Well, not a lot, but like some of the players back from last year. I think they give them fits. I believe that Nevada's going to win at home against Hawaii and get it done.
Originally, I had picked the Rainbow Warriors to defeat the Wolfpack, but upon further inspection of the game, I realized that is a fucking stupid move. So everything that he just said, I literally was about to say. So Nevada is going to get the job done.
I'm happy to change your mind. And Nevada is the same team that beat Purdue this year.
Correct.
So, yeah, I'm going to go with
Purdue
Nevada.
really blew that game, by the way.
I'm still never going to let that one go. Arizona State at Cal.
I have a hard time picking.
Their cameraman just blew out.
I have a hard time picking up Cal because they're ranked number 15th right now. But
That's too high.
But I know that they're not a legit team. But on the other hand, I have Arizona State, who I also know is not a legit team. So, just based on the fact that Cal is a higher ranking and Arizona State had the week that they did last week, I'm going to go with the Golden Bears here. And they're going to keep their winning ways alive for at least now. And they're going to run into a team like Stanford. They're going to run into a team... No, not Stanford. They're going to run into a team like USC and Washington. And they're going to lose. So... I'm going to go with Cal for right now. They're going to get their wins.
I'm going to say, on my pick and pulls, I have Cal. But since we're in front of a camera, I'm going to say it right now. I think Arizona State is going to bounce back. And I think Cal's due for a letdown week. They struggled against Ole Miss, but they really didn't struggle because they won at Ole Miss. But I think Ole Miss stinks. I'm going to go with Arizona State with a comeback win, Stanford at Oregon State. I'm picking Stanford on the road. However, Oregon State, Stanford's been playing like absolute shit. I mean, they might be really smart.
Well, they're bad.
But they're not doing so hot this year. I don't even see them going bowling. I do think Oregon State can win. This is going to be a close game, I think. But I'm going to pick Stanford. It's going to be close, though.
I gotta pick Stanford here just because of how bad Oregon State is. I think the Stanford of the mid-2000s, as we knew it, is back.
Yeah.
I think I mean that
Harbaugh.
pre-Harbaugh, pre-Andy Luck era is back. So I just still think that Oregon State's not that good. It's just I'm going to pick Stanford on the road here. It's going to be a close game though.
Washington State at Utah.
Another tough game.
I mean, these two teams had the most depressing weeks out of anyone, really. I mean, Washington State gave up 67 points to Chip Kelly's UCLA team. What a joke UCLA
He's an
is
offensive
now.
Mastermind.
Maybe
Give me a
for
fucking
Oregon.
break.
And then Utah, they lost to USC, which that's a little bit better because it's tough to play at USC.
They lost to a third-string quarterback.
They did lose to the third-string quarterback. I guess I'm gonna have to go with the Shamans on this one. I'm gonna go with the Utes. I'm going with Utah.
Another tough game to pick. I picked the Utes in my pick'em poll, but I really contemplated flipping over to Washington State. But I think that Washington State's defense is just absolute garbage. So I think that Utah is going to pull it off.
They just came out alive against Houston too. They struggled that mightily with them. I don't think
Houston's bad though.
I thought they were for real for a second, and then they lost to UCLA. So
Exactly. So Kentucky and South Carolina. Another game where I flipped from Kentucky to South Carolina. No, from Kentucky to South Carolina. So, like I said, I flipped from Kentucky to South Carolina because I saw how tough that Kentucky played Florida. But I just don't think that Kentucky is that good. I mean, you saw down the stretch they folded. They folded like a chair. So South Carolina in South Carolina in Columbia is going to get the job done. But it's going to be a touchdown or so, or 3 points.
It's another game where it's going to go. I'm probably going to think about it one more time on Saturday. Kentucky at South Carolina. I think South Carolina can get it done at home. But, excuse me, Kentucky's running attack's been real strong. I like what Sawyer's done so far, I guess. I mean, he's thrown a lot of picks, but I'm going to go with Kentucky. I think their running attack gets it done at South Carolina this week. So we're going on to Louisiana at Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern, they were one of the better teams in the Sun Belt last year. I think they had 10 wins.
Yes, they did.
However, Louisiana has looked real good. They beat Ohio by 20.
Very solid.
I'm going to go with Louisiana.
I'm going to go with Louisiana as well. I think Gasso is I mean, they're a solid team, but I mean, Louisiana has looked very solid this year as well. So I'm going to go with Louisiana. Let's keep the winning ways going with the Raging Cajuns.
I think the only thing that could throw them off is I think they do an option. They're more of a
they're an option. They're an
team,
option-heavy team.
But
So
I still think Louisiana's going to win, though.
So, oh yeah, 100%. So this is going to bring us to our game of the week. So the Virginia Cavaliers are facing off against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in primetime action. We have
10 versus 18.
We're going to set the stage here. We got the agile, mobile quarterback Bryce Perkins from Virginia, and we have Ian Book,
Just the quarterback.
just the quarterback.
He's good, but he's not.
He's very one-dimensional. But Notre Dame against the Georgia Bulldogs last week looked very solid. And despite their greatest efforts,
better than I thought it was.
That's what I'm saying. Despite their greatest efforts, they still fell to the Bulldogs, but it was a very, very close and hard-fought effort. So I'm going to go with the Fighting Irish here at home. They're 11-point favorites. So odds are that they're probably going to get this one done. I think Virginia is finally going to run into a good opponent, and this is it. So give me your pick.
I think Virginia has been looking pretty good. They look good against Pitt, of course. They look good. Up until Old Dominion, they kind of had a letdown week against Old Dominion. Good thing it was against Old Dominion when they wanted to have their letdown, because now they're going into the biggest game of the season at Notre Dame. This will make or break. Well, it won't make or break their season. They're still in good shape because it's a non-conference game. They're still undefeated in the conference.
You want to win the game.
But you still want to win the game. And I actually have the helmet right here.
Put it on.
I'm picking Notre Dame, baby. I'm picking Notre Dame at home. I hope it's close, but I'm going to say it right now. I actually think Notre Dame can win by over 2 touchdowns.
Oh,
I'm going to say 2 to 3 touchdowns.
I firmly agree. After their performance against Georgia, I mean, why not? So that is going to wrap it up for
I'm gonna say like 38-21.
That's not a bad pick, but
I'm finally gonna predict the score: 38-21, 37-20, somewhere around there.
I'll go with the 31-20 range.
Around there.
It's around there. So, all right, that is gonna wrap it up on this week's edition of College Football Tonight, NCAA Football Tonight. Thank you.
It's Saturday Night Live.
So, all right.
Yeah. So that's it. We chime in with the "Haven't you people ever heard of?"
Closing a goddamn door!